Hello everyone and welcome to the STPL. We're here for the round 4 playoff finals. And I think it's going to be pretty sick, Rapid.
I do too. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. Also, I'm still waking up, so my voice is not going to be here. But I'm glad that everybody else out there is here. And if you know people that aren't here, go tell them to come watch because this is kind of the moment of truth, right? Because
Yep.
SouL, obviously, they have just crushed everybody up until this point. NaS are real American heroes who are going to be defending truth, righteous justice in the American way. So I think we can all get behind them.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it, but without further ado, I guess let's actually introduce both of our teams, starting with SouL.
Earlier, I just wasn't paying attention to that, but the tanks are stasis in the back, and you know, he's killing a few of them, but there's just not enough units here. He's dropping down to 90 supply.
And GG. But this is way too many units with just one gateway to hold off. The Templar Archives is finished, but I think it's going to go down before he can even build a DT. And I mean, he's going to try and get another Dragoon out. He really should just cancel this, but he can't. GG! Stargate Carrier to deal with this. And this is just the result of this. Look at the train of Goliaths coming forward. There's still like 20 Goliaths in his natural as well. Just absolutely insane. GG! A little bit of a good engagement at the top. Mello jumping on top of the Sunken, so will he be able to take one down? No, he won't. GG! Yeah. Bit of a stalemate. Here we go. The Zealots being sent in first. The Vultures actually out of position. This is going to allow the Zealots to get on top of the tanks. But is this going to be enough Protoss? I don't think it is. But more and more Zealots getting on top of absolutely everything. But there we go. It's too much. GG!
It's showtime.
Okay, so that was SouL. They won the round 3 playoffs. That was actually the first time in the entire tournament they managed to make it into the playoffs. This is obviously the second time they're here in contention for another victory, which will put them even with White Clan overall in terms of wins. So kind of crazy.
Yeah, it always felt like for round 1 and 2, maybe White Clan were kind of the big bad wolves, but SouL has steadily said, "Look, no, we are actually the best," and it's really impressive to see what they've been able to do so far this season. I think the roster they're playing with is absolutely insanity. I find it really weird that we've got an American team, but we also have an American player playing for SouL in round 1 or in the first game.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Their opponent gonna be our American team, and I say American with air quotes because they have quite a few players outside of America now as well. But let's have a look at them. It's gonna be NaS. Reinforcements with his reinforcements, but he's losing his main. He's losing his natural as well. He's lost his third base. And I mean, the only thing going for him right now is he's taken the other main, but that's not going to be enough. GG! That's on the probes as well. Oh,
yeah,
that's a nice storm. That storm got all 4 lurkers. But yeah, I mean, there's Lings running into his main. GG! As the on-Turk's Fire has finished up. I'm completely losing my voice, I'm completely out of practice. But there we go, looks like Eon Zerg has done it. GG! Kamizerg trying to hold on, it's not going to be enough. But still, very, very valiant effort from him. Really, really nicely done. And GG! Well, I usually don't like being too negative about things, but this game is definitely over. He's going to move in with his lurkers. The lurkers are going down before they even get a chance to burrow. And he's losing all of his units. GG!
It's showtime.
Okay, so that was NaS. NaS haven't had as much success. They've actually made it into the playoffs before, though, but I believe they came 4th, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've looked at all the statistics, but I know the Dragon's Canadian. It's all good. They're still the all-American heroes, the North American squad, and it's all good either way. It's kind of like the meme team, I guess, because Media were here before, but then they backed out, so I kind of need a US team, and that's ended up being NaS. It's all good.
They're like, "Yes, you're from this country," and they're like, "Well, actually, we're from everywhere." And Kix is like, you're from this country. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's nice to see them representing truth, justice, and the American way. I also love your Star Spangled Banner there, Kix. I just thought I'd throw that out there. But it's a good time to be a NaS fan, even though they haven't won or placed in the top 3 before. I think they are certainly stronger than ever. So I think that kind of goes for both of these teams who have had a remarkable round 4. And it should be cool to watch them in the finals.
Yep, I mean, one thing to point out is their last loss was actually against White Clan in the 3rd and 4th place match in round 3. So they've won every single game since, and I believe the same could be said for SouL as well. Both of the teams going 6-0 in round 4, which is just ridiculous. Like, both these teams are so good, and seeing them up against each other is going to be absolutely great. I mean, both these teams have met once before. NaS actually took the loss there, but that was a while ago. You can see both the round stats, obviously. And it's kind of funny to look at like the race distribution of both the teams. Like, errands for both teams have actually done an amazing job. But when you look at NaS's roster, their Terrans is basically Terra. So Terra is the one with most of those wins. We're going to see the second one today, which is good. But just overall, an amazing set of teams.
Amazing set of teams with an amazing season. 6-0 for this round. I mean, just literally nothing has stood in these guys' ways. So you really can't take anything away from them. They totally deserve to be here. They have an insane number of total wins and some insane players. So let's take a look at those players, Kix.
Yep, so let's actually have a look here. I'm just going to hide that bar that I should have done before, but it's all good. Starting with a ZVT between Tai2 and Terra. So for a Korean team, we've got Tai2, an American playing, and for an American team, we've got Peruvian playing, so it's all good. We're going to head into a ZVP between Zealot and Dragon, a TVP between Bjol and Sugo, a ZVZ between Spire and Eonzerg, a TVT between Scan and Demur, also known as Demurity. Then we're going to be heading into our 6th set, which will be a PvP actually, between Dandy and Kingdom, as Dandy subbed in for someone.
Nice. Good for Dandy. Nice of him to show up. And honestly, I mean, having him sub in is just like, okay, well, it's still an incredibly badass player, so not worried about that one at all. But yeah, starting out with Tai2 versus Terror, this is like we've given like each of our countries like honorary or each of our teams country flags, and then we start off with players who are not from countries. So sick.
Yeah, it's all good. Obviously, SouL Gaming are actually more a hybrid between Korea and South America mainly, but Tai2 joined them in round 2. He actually used to play on, I think he was on FBW in round 1.
Yeah, FBW.
And he went to join NaS, but ended up not going there in the end, so he ended up on SouL. But it's just kind of crazy to see Tai2 here. This should be a really interesting game, just because when you think about Tai2 as a player, I mean, overall, he's just really good. I mean, his previous stats in the STPL show that. He's got an 87% win rate. It's just, with Tai2, you never really know what you're going to get. Like, in 2017, when I was casting all the time, I would say if we were coming across a Tai2 game, it'd be a really quick game, it would be a really cheesy game, and he'd either win in a really lucky way, or he would lose really badly from someone defending. But it's been 2 years since then. Tai2's grown as a player, and not only do you have to worry about his creativity now, he can also play incredibly standard, incredibly well. So Terra is going to have trouble here.
Well, you know, Kix, we've set up the hype. We know about our first 2 players. Well, at least one of them. Tai2 is a guy that actually made it super deep in what was it? It was BSL as well. I think he was one of the highest ranking Americans, not North Americans, because I think Dragon did very well as well.
Yeah.
Still, definitely never somebody you should count out. Terror, same situation, is absolutely one of the best Peruvian players in the world. So I would actually maybe favor Terran a little bit, but Tai2 plays so weird, I never know what to expect.
Yeah, Terra, also an incredibly good player, one of the best players in Peru. Unlike Dandy, he doesn't race pick, so he is 100% Terran. 73% win rate for him. He started off on SK Alpha. They completely demolished everybody they come across until the team disbanded. Then Terra ended up on NaS, they picked him up, and he has been a great addition to their roster. He's come out pretty much every single week, and every single week he gets a win usually. Obviously there's a few games he lost. He lost against DeWalt recently, and he lost against Yeti and Future, so it looks like TVP is a little bit of his weakness, but TVZ is really, really good. I mean, the last Zerg he played against is True Touch, and True Touch is just incredible. So, without further ado, let's introduce our first map of today. It's going to be... Oh, I forgot my map is Holy World SE. Okay, so that was a quick overview of Holy World SE. Here it is in all of its glory. TVZ, in terms of statistics, Zerg have had a really, really good time on this map. I mean, just the games you can see, some of them are a little bit more one-sided, but really, Kenzie taking down Radley, Eon Zerg taking down Marwin, both of them incredibly strong Terran and incredibly strong Zerg players. Radley obviously got a little bit of revenge by taking out Ariador when he switched from Net Wars, but it's definitely stacking up against Terra. But if there's one Terran in the foreign scene that can take down Tai2, I think it's going to be him. And let's find out how he's going to do as we get into game number 1 of the round 4 playoff finals. Okay, starting us off here in the bottom right-hand position, we do have the Yellow Zerg fighting for SouL. It's Tai2.
And his opponent in the red in the upper left-hand corner, this is Terror, of course, playing for NaS. And oh my god, oh my god, Kicks, we're finally here, the round 4 finals. What a way to start it off. It's a TVZ. Not only is it iconic, but it's also on Holy World. So we have the chance for Tai2 to infest that middle command center and make some infested Terrans, and he is absolutely the kind of person to do it.
Yeah, we've seen a few players try it before and it not work out. Ariador especially rushed for Queens, but Radley killed the command center just before he could do the infest. And that's always a problem. Wow, okay. Look at what Terra's doing. He's building a barracks underneath the disruption web, so any units under that will not be able to kill it. But will that save it against Zerglings? I'm not 100% sure, but that is very clever positioning.
That can't possibly cover exactly the same hex, right? Right?
I mean,
that's definitely not a thing
does.
That works. It looks okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, Kicks. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, that'd be exciting if that happened. I mean, Tai2 is going in for a 12 hatch. He's not built a pool yet, so regardless, this is going to be hard to hold. But if he can't kill the barracks, what is he going to do? He's going to have to try and kill the Marines. But he's got to hold against the 8 racks first.
You have to be able to target that. If you can't target that, that's like the... I mean, the Kakaroo spotted it, but finally the drone is going to see what's going on, and I can't wait. What's the reaction? What's the realization? I mean, it's already built. It's already got a Marine almost done. Yeah, see, it does take damage.
Yeah, but the main thing is the drone has 1 range, whereas Zerglings don't. So that'll be the interesting thing. Now, Tai2, I can't believe he actually went to go and scout that position, because that's not a normal place to go and scout. But I guess he, in a way, got a little bit lucky. But here it is. He doesn't have his spawning pool done yet. His spawning pool is not even a third of the way finished, with the first Marine on the way with 2 drones. This has got 2 SCVs even. This is going to be massive.
Yeah, it's actually gigantic. What on earth are we even talking about here, Kix? This is the craziest reaction I've ever seen. The drones are just not, I mean, there's almost as many SCVs as there are drones. So he's going to have to run away. And now there's, what, 3 Marines with a 4th almost completed? Yeah, just now popping out. So we got to see a drill on top. Oh my god, perfect drill. Kills 1, kills 2 Marines. The SCV is still left building the bunker, though. So as long as 1 Marine can get in there, but there's no Marines left. He drills and kills all of them. With 1 more on the way, I don't think Private Ryan is going to make it home. GG, Terror taps out.
Wow, what a first game. I know we have some quick games before, but we've never really seen one go like that. Of all the games we've seen in the STPL, I can safely say that is the first 8 racks I've seen where it's ended that way. So, insane. Tai 2, great defense. I thought realistically he didn't have what it took in terms of unit-wise to defend against it, but he does it. He actually manages it.
I don't understand. That drill, it just works so perfectly. So you look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's how you drone drill. I'm like, no. Just like literally go try to do that. You die almost 100% of the time because you're bad. But it's tight. Wow, Tai 2 is not bad. So sick, man. He puts SouL on the board. First blood is drawn by our American Zerg player, Tai 2.
Yeah, and I'm just quickly loading up, because that was such a quick game, there's a real reason to go to a break straight away. So I've hosted the next replay up. Obviously,
we didn't even hit our 6-minute curse, Kix.
It wasn't even close even. We weren't even halfway there. I don't even think that game was like 3 minutes long. That's just crazy. But if someone, I saw someone in chat, just moving my chat closer so I can read it. Who was it that said it? Elfunk, you said, is this an official map? Yes, it is. This map was actually used in Pro League in 2009 or 2010, I'm just going to double check. But it's a really, really cool map. There were some really cool official games on this map as well. One of them was Zero completely demolishing a Protoss player with infested Terran. So if you do want to go and see that game, just go back and watch it because it's a mess of a game.
Yeah, just Google Zero versus Cal Holy World, and there's a sick cast of it too by I think maybe Rise. I don't know, but anyway, very, very good series. Already starting things off with a kind of. We didn't even hit our 6-minute curse there, Kix, but we're working on it. We start out with a 3 minutes, and maybe we advance on to a 6-minute game.
My bad, it was actually an OGN Star League map. Holy World SE was actually used for 1 Star League. It got remade during the Bacchus one in 2009 into an SE version for the later stages. So SE didn't see much play, but the original one saw a good amount of games, so it was actually quite balanced as well. So it's always cool. But yeah, Bacchus OSL 2009 Cal vs Zero, that is an incredibly good game. So if you want to watch some cool Brood War, do tune in and watch that game after the STPL. And also, there's some other cool Holy World SE games. If you look at the STPL TV YouTube, it's youtube.com/STPL TV, and you can see all of the previous games through the entire STPL. There's around, I was trying to work this out for a thing I'm making for the Grand Finals. I think there's been more than like 400 games played in the STPL so far, which is just ridiculous.
And Kix is going to go back and watch all of them.
Yeah, I'm going to quit my job and just watch the STPL all day. That's going to be me. It'll take me 5 years to watch the whole thing, but yeah. Okay, I'm just quickly...
Game number 2 is on the way.
It is, yeah. Game number 2 is going to be between Dragon and Zealot, so let's actually quickly introduce both of our players. Zealot is kind of a player that not many people will know, but he is an amateur player in Korea. I don't believe, was he a pro? I can't remember.
No, he was like I think you want to call it a semi-pro. At least from what I remember. The biggest thing is that he qualified for ASL. So I don't think that anybody really expected that necessarily. He never played a professional game of Brood War during like the Kespa era.
Yeah.
Post Kespa era, he played a lot in like the SSL events.
Yeah, and I know this is one way of looking at him, but his style is very all-in-y, so we could have a quick game here. But It is going to be a ZBP. His opponent is going to be Dragon, the Canadian Protoss, the leader of NaS. He's once again joined by one of his other previous leaders, Kingdom, who will be back later in the series. But Dragon has been a boss throughout the entire STPL. He's won 22 games overall with a 75% win rate, and you can even see from the screen in front of you, he has had a lot of wins in his last 10 games. So Dragon, very, very strong Protoss player. His ZVP is good, his PVZ is even better, and I can't wait to see him here against Zealot. If there's someone on NaS who can take a win for them here against SouL, it's going to be him. As we go into our second map of today, it's going to be New Bloody Ridge. Okay, so New Bloody Ridge here, one of our two-player maps for today. Both our players will be spawning in the top right and bottom left-hand position. Very, very easy to take natural. A little bit harder to take a third base as a Protoss player here. The statistics certainly run up against Protoss on this map. Things have been a little bit awkward. It's actually 6 for 1 for Zerg, because the third place match isn't appearing on here just yet. But overall, I think one map that Dragon especially has done well on is New Bloody Ridge, but the thing is, he usually played Zerg here, so as Nick said in the chat, I hope he's not going to fall foul to a kind of Ling all-in. We've seen a lot of weird fast games on here. Eon Zerg took out Bonnet with a Ling all-in, Argneon took out Horotos with a Ling all-in. Yesterday we saw a very, very cool game between, I just trying to remember who exactly it was. You know what, I can't remember, but it's fine. We can figure that out later. Either way, really cool map. Can't wait to get into game number 2, so let's get started. Speaking of getting started, in the top right-hand position, we do have the Purple Protoss, the captain of NaS, fighting for his team here from a 1-0 deficit. It's going to be Dragon.
That's right, and Dragon's opponent on the outside of the map. Sorry about this. Sorry, my screen went totally black.
That's okay.
Zealot playing for SouL.
Now, Zealot hasn't showed us too many games in the STPL. Obviously, he streams quite a lot. He has been playing in the recent ASL, well, the last ASL that was around. I don't think he made it into the KSL this time, but I believe he tried to, well, at least he tried out. It's definitely interesting to see exactly how he's going to do against Dragon. I would peg Dragon as someone with some of the best PvZ outside of Korea, just because he is so good at ZVP as well. But it's whether or not he kind of learns from his own Zerg, because that could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for Dragon is that you know, he does race pick, but I think specifically on this map, he in general likes to play a little bit of a more aggressive style, and that might really help towards the mid game. Once Protoss is traditionally looking for their own third base, he could actually just go stop the Zerg player from getting his. So
yeah,
that could be kind of a cool thing to see, not something you necessarily see all the time. But you know, hey, it's a brand new game, and I'm not sure exactly what style Zealot wants to play here, because at least for me, I think of Zealot as, you know, another one of these like semi-pro aggressive Zerg players. I've watched him, you know, kill just about everybody with like Ling aggression into Muta follow up. Usually that's versus Terran build, but he does it versus Protoss too, even in spite of most Protoss going for Corsairs. So anything can happen.
Yeah, Zealot kind of reminds me a lot of Miso. Just I know Miso was a pro back in the day. He was called Ware. He didn't play too many games, but they're both very, very aggressive Zerg players. But even so, they're still so different. And Zealot is certainly more recently coming into his own, really. Like, he beaten Flash on ladder. I know he doesn't play Flash and win too often against him, but there was that game he uploaded where he completely demolished him with some all-in that pretty much no one had ever done before. So it's kind of cool to see Zealot here in the STPL. It gives us a chance to learn a little bit more about him. Obviously, this is a very important game, setting the tone for the rest of the series. Yesterday, we did have a relatively one-sided series in the third, fourth place match, but you can already see Dragon not making the same mistake as our Protoss player yesterday, adding the second cannon immediately, going into a gateway afterwards, just playing super safe against someone he knows is likely to be very aggressive.
And I don't blame him for doing that. I think in light of what you and I have both highlighted here, that makes complete sense. Nobody's going to fault him for doing that. The biggest thing to keep in mind anytime you're playing against somebody who is capable of playing non-standard is what are the things that they could do to cheese me here. Now, the game that comes to mind, at least for me, is Spire versus DeWalt on New Bloody Ridge. Actually, no, that was on a totally different map. Anyway, but I watched that game and I'm just like, DeWalt had no idea that this player was going to try anything super cheesy. And he died instantly. So obviously Dragon's going to be keeping that in mind. And look, he's playing like about the safest you possibly can. He's got probe blocking, he's got double cannons, he's got a rear pylon. It's like everything's it's all good.
Yep, and in terms of Zealot, he's going for a Hydralisk Den off of the back of a 2-hatch layer, so this does give him a few options. Obviously, you don't often see it, but there is a lurker all-in you can do in CVP, maybe go for a quick drop. One thing to point out on this map as well is the fact that there's very droppable mains. Yeah, you've got the cannons here, but this big cliff here, there's not really too much you can do to defend against a drop, and there's the same thing over at the other third base at the top here. So there's so many different options Zealot has to go for. Obviously, he can go for a Spire if he wants. There's still no second gas just yet, but we should kind of see the divergence soon. And especially hiding his tech against this probe is going to be very important.
Yeah, I mean, the bigger thing for me is that you get a chance to really watch the Azurg play basically completely standardly. When I was talking about the Spire, or not Spire, Zealot going mutas, usually that doesn't work out because your opponent's going to be doing Corsair builds, right?
Yeah.
Not this time, and so it really kind of plays into his hands. Unfortunately, I believe he is actually going for that lurker drop that you were mentioning, Kix, and I think it actually is going to work out fantastically.
It's either that or it's going to be a Hydra drop. He doesn't have the lurker upgrade just yet, going for Hydra range first. Obviously that doesn't mean he's not going to go for an all-in, but the one benefit we have here is Dragon is actually going into a Robo first, so it's likely we'll see Reavers. Now, when we think back to, I think it was Spire versus DeWalt, where we saw a Reaver opening, Spire did exactly what Zealot has the option of going for here, where he kind of just circumvented the front defenses. Now, good micro by Dragon is actually going to take out a good number of those lings and save his Zealots, but he's still going to have to survive for as long as possible, or he's going to get caught off guard by a big Hydra swell.
Yeah, I mean, the Hydra's hitting the front is only kind of the first round of this. He also has that drop that he has just finished researching. He's getting Overlord speed to help facilitate that. So he pokes a little bit here at the front, but this actually looks a little bit like that fake Hydra bust, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I'm going to flood you with Hydras. Just kidding. And you pull back, and they overmake defenses. But Dragon's not overmaking defenses. He only has one extra can. Okay, now adding a second. And I don't even think that this is overreacting, because I think eventually he'll see more Hydras coming in and think, okay, well, this is warranting some extra defenses. And as we know, because we're omniscient observers, there are more Hydras on the way. He is getting that Hydra speed, and I think that, he should actually be totally fine here, right?
Yeah, I mean, the one benefit, at least for Dragon, is he has gone for Corsairs at least as well, so he's going to be able to get a perfect scout off. He'll see no third hatchery, and that'll actually allow him to push the Overlords away, but looks like we are going to have the Overlords moving into position, and could this be the death of Dragon here? Obviously, Dragon is going to be perfectly fine at the front. He's got 4 cannons, he's got his first Reaver up. Oh my god, the Corsair might actually scout this. He's gonna see it. He
No
sees
way.
the Overlords.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, you don't need much more help than that, right? That's pretty good. So, I mean, once you see the Overlords here, it's not like, nobody thinks I found the El Dorado of Overlords, the Lost City. They're here. They've been hiding here the whole time. No. It's like they're obviously for drop. So here we go. But yeah, like I said earlier, he doesn't have a million billion Corsairs. So it's like, well, you saw it, but what do you do about it? Because what's going to happen is, okay, you're like, oh, there's a scary Reaver. He might blow up all the Hydras. Well, you can't shoot two directions at once. So you're going to drop the Hydras in the back, then you're going to shove the Hydras in the front, and what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, here we go. There is a cannon in the main, but one cannon is not going to be enough to hold off against this. Now, does Dragon actually have enough? He's going to have a Reaver waddling over, and that's going to be able to allow him to hold this up, but it depends how much damage he takes in the meantime. The probes have done an incredible job defending against this on their own, and here come the Zealots.
Here they come, Kicks. Comes Dat Boy, the Zealot.
Oh, the Reaver though, the Reaver's getting
Oh no,
caught.
the Reaver! What on earth is the Reaver doing? No! Not like this! Okay,
Yeah,
that was
gonna be a
basically the worst possible situation to have.
Yeah, now all the probes are going to be forced away. They're going to have to fight. There's not much here for Dragon. He is mining off his other base. He should have another Reaver coming in, but the drops are just going to keep on coming, and there's not really too much he has to defend against it anymore.
What do you do? It's you're dead. I mean, he's going to target down the pylon powering all the gateways. Like, yeah, there's just absolutely nothing that he can do here. He's got one Reaver and a Dream, and that's it.
Yep, I mean, Reavers are good units, but... Oh, two Zealots actually pop out at the perfect time. There's not actually that many units in the main anymore, but the Overlord on top of the Reaver is actually going to drop out on top. A nice Reaver Scarab going down in the front, but another Reaver going down! And the Overlords are just going to keep picking the Hydras up.
Yeah, this is a lot like when Protoss has a Dark Templar on a Terran, and you just pick it up when they scan. You're like, okay, scan runs out and you drop it again. It's like the same thing with these Hydras. Now, thankfully, there's that one God Corsair, which is kind of saving the day here, but I mean, this is just catastrophic damage. I mean, let's not forget on the other side that we still don't have a gigantic economy from Zealot. So he is really, like, he's really committed to this, but he's getting so much damage done, it just doesn't matter. Like, oh no, he can't build units because he lost Overlords. No, nobody cares. He's dealing so much damage. He's going to kill the support base, so no more Reavers. So even though there's this one, okay, well, don't let it just get perfect Reaver shots. Okay, he's going to get on top of this. Some nice Scarab hits. Yeah, he's going to get it.
Yeah, that's going to be it. GG. Dragon with a valiant effort at defense, but Zealot with the constant pressure, constant drops, takes game number 2.
But like, let's be real here, Kicks. He saw the drop coming, okay, and then it still just killed him. You know, everybody dives to that, right? But I mean, this is the finals, so you're putting out your best players. They gotta live up to the hype. And I think it's safe to say that SouL is really living up to that. But so far from NaS, we really haven't gotten a chance to see them really execute a strategy. We had, you know, a attempted, 8 racks come in from Dragon. I'm like, or from Terra, and I'm just like, okay, that's not really, it's not really a strategy that has a lot of detailed, Picasso-esque artistic play styles to it. It's like, you build me built bunker, we put marine inside. It's like, okay, we get it. And then in game 2, it's just like, I see a drop coming. Hope it doesn't kill me. It's like, okay, so I really hope that as the games go on, we get a chance to see what NaS really has in store.
I guess the only way you can look at it and think, well, maybe Dragon didn't know it was a drop, was he didn't really get that much of a scout of the main. And also maybe he thinks, well, if he's going to Hydra bust me, which is what it looked like because she had so many Hydras already, then he's probably got the Overlords there so they don't get sniped by my Corsairs. Because, what was it? Zealot didn't actually see the Corsairs either beforehand, so Zealot couldn't be sure what Dragon was doing, so Dragon couldn't be sure what Zealot actually knew about what he was doing. So we go into kind of some 4D chess, but eventually we end up with the situation we do, where unfortunately Dragon just didn't have enough units in the right places at the right time and does get
Yeah.
taken down by that drop. So we'll be back in a few minutes with game number 3. It's going to be Bjol versus Sugo. Hello guys, and welcome back to the STPL Round 4 Grand Finals. We're here for NaS versus SouL. SouL 2-0 up after 2 very quick games, and it's going to be up to their hero here in Sugo to see if he can do what Yeti did in the last playoff finals and take down Bjol. It's going to be on Eye of the Storm. So let's introduce both of our players to get us started, and then we can introduce the map. So having a look here, starting here is Bjol. Bjol is an absolute boss. Bjol has done really well, 83% win rate, has made it into the last 2 ASL round of 24s. I don't believe he made it into KSL, unfortunately, but overall, he's one of these semi-pro players. Well, I guess he's semi-pro, or I don't know if he counts as semi-pro or amateur, but he's just really, really good.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of Bjols. There's like the Zerg Bjol, and then this is of course the Terran Bjol. And yeah, he's definitely an amateur player. He has never played on a Kespa team or anything like that. So yeah, that's the only experience he's had is playing in. So it's actually really interesting because while he never played on a Kespa team, he actually did play in a lot of the older tournaments. He actually qualified and played in, I don't know if you ever heard of IEF, but it was a tournament Bisu went to China and won. And it was Bisu, Stork, and Bjol. And it's so comical to me because Bjol is not a pro player. But he went to this tournament and he placed third, I believe. It was just all the Korean players just trouncing everybody. So very impressive to me that he has that kind of international experience because very few players of his level do.
Yeah, and I mean, his opponent going to be one of the best North American Protosses, has an incredible work drive. He has been around for a very long time. He's now coaching the CPL again, helping out a lot of players lower level than him. He's got a 64% win rate. He's had some wins against some very good players. And overall, it's going to be cool to see him here in a PvT. He's actually not had the best PvT so far, but he hasn't actually played a Terran in nearly a year, so about 8 to 9 months he's not played against Terran in the STPL. So looking forward to seeing how it's improved as time has gone on. As we get into our third map, it's going to be Eye of the Storm. Okay, so that is Eye of the Storm, one of our 4-player maps for today on the jungle tile set. It's a really, really fun map. PvT is perfectly balanced according to STPL statistics in PvT, so it's all good.
Tell me more, Kicks. I want to learn about the perfect balance of PvT. Well, all I'm trying to say is that it's exciting for me to get the chance to watch this because we talk about how consistent, dedicated SouGo is, but I don't know. I think Bjol has a little bit of something in store, or maybe SouGo's got the legend killer build here, and we're about to witness some greatness from the hands of NaS.
Yep, let's find out as we get into game number 3. It's Bjol versus SouGo, and it's on Eye of the Storm. Okay, so starting us off in the top left-hand position, we do have the Yellow Terran fighting for SouL. It's Bjol.
Right, and his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner in the red playing for NaS is SouGo. Which, of course, Bjol will be able to understand because SouGo means good job in Korean.
Nice. SouGo with the mana, just being nice. Now, one thing that maybe some people watching now or watching the VOD later may not know is Bjol actually played in the last playoff finals, where I believe he played in either the 3rd or 5th game, I can never remember which. No, it would have been the 4th or 6th. He played against Yeti on Athena 2. Now, that was a game where many people in the foreign community, at least talking about STPL, thought that Yeti would never be able to win. But Yeti came out and he demolished Bjol in a macro game. So even though many people may look at this now and say, well, Bjol, he's an amateur, he's qualified for ASL a couple of times, he's pretty much unbeatable, right? He's not. He's lost games in the STPL before, not only against Protoss, he lost against Medinho as well in round 4 on Athena 2, so... no, that was round 3 as well, so he lost twice against them, but he's not a completely unbeatable player, is what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out, because I think we build up these like legendary profiles of these godlike players, and just like, no, they're human too, and especially on this level, you know, we're not talking about our, you know, Visus and Flashes and stuff like that. These are mere mortals who can lose from time to time.
I mean, even at the like top level, you look at Terran, and really the only person you think that just can't bleed is Flash. Like everyone else, like as good as Sharp, as good as Last are, it's still like when you're watching those, it looks like you're watching a human playing the game. Whereas when you look at like Flash, it's like you're watching an AI. So like a really good AI, like one that was built specifically for the point of playing the game. So it's kind of cool to see Biel anyway, especially doing a little bit better in Korea as well as in the STPL. It's always good to have players like Biel here, so other people can play with him, we can show off his games. And Sugo as well, one of the more consistent North American players. He plays a hell of a lot on top of his like job, which keeps him incredibly busy from what I understand. So it's always nice to see really dedicated players to their craft.
For sure. Well, I guess let's talk to that craft.
Oh, he gets the SCV. That was really nice moving shot by Sugo to get that SCV, and that's a big win for him, because as a Terran player, you lose an SCV like that and you suddenly feel terrible. Like, it feels like the worst thing in the world. You've only lost a single SCV, you'd be like, well damn, I guess I'm just behind now, so...
Yeah.
Oh, and he gets gas stolen as well. I mean,
damn, okay. I mean, all these things are just like the little tiny things that build up to bigger things. And there's actually an SCV about to kill the pylon powering the gateway. He will need to actually deal with that. He like literally killed the entire shields of the pylon. It's 300 damage.
Yeah, that's,
so there's almost a turnaround.
Maybe. I mean, losing that first pylon would be devastating, but...
yeah, for sure. Definitely don't want that to happen.
Oh, can he cancel this gas? One more hit and he gets the SCV. Oh, and he gets it. That's more delayed gas by Biel.
Wow, yeah, he actually has no gas income. And if he focuses that SCV, he could actually just kill it. Oh, he's gonna try to get the Marine? I think it's better to just run the Zealot away. Yeah, yeah,
that's not... Yeah, he's gonna save the Zealot, but that's not actually Zealot tie at the top. So if he goes back with another Zealot, then all of a sudden things get awkward. But here we go, looks like we are gonna have a probe in the top position. Gonna put down a proxy pylon. Now, is this going to be for Robo? Is it going to be for Citadel? Obviously, there's a couple of choices that Sugo can go for. And you know, one choice that doesn't really get brought up much, which is actually just really good, is just proxying like 2 or 3 gateways and going. Because when you're going for a 1-Rax fast expand, you don't have that many units anyway. And then when you have your gas delayed for so long, you just can't get tanks quick enough to defend. Now, there's no additional tech been added yet. Here we go, it is going to be a Robo, so we are going to see Reavers behind this. But Sugo definitely has a lot of options from here.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest option, at least for me, that I see Sugo going is, oh, wait a second, you don't have any gas, or just not as much as you would expect, right? So that means he can put on early Dragoon pressure, because there's just nothing that can shoot the Dragoons once this range finishes.
Yeah, now Biel knows that something's up. He counted the pylons in the main, saw that there was one missing. Now he's gone scouting for a proxy, but he can't see it. He's like a pixel away from seeing that now. And oh my god, is he just not going to see this?
Really?
Yeah, he missed it. That was like a pixel away from being able to see it. He didn't go down that ramp. Oh, that's actually massive. Scouting that could be the difference between winning and losing. Now, we are going to see an academy go down in the top left of the base. Sugo will see that as well. And Supply Depot thought there was going to be an armory. But Biel isn't going to prepare for anything too massive. Like, he can't blind counter anything, because if you blind counter Reavers, suddenly you die to DT, and if you blind counter DT, suddenly a Reaver flies in your base and kills everything. So this is awkward for Bjorn now. He's going to try and get back in the base. Sugo doing a really good job blocking that SCV.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Is he, come on, okay. So basically what we're witnessing here is Sugo having every possible thing go his way, and consequently Biol, as a player who is just so good, is just like, come on. Like, why? Make it stop. Ugh, this is so frustrating, but at the same time, like, you got to give credit where credit's due. It's very impressive to watch, Sugo leverage all of these advantages. Yeah,
and look at this, the tank and the siege mode has only just now started. It's 5 minutes 44 into the game. And if he brings his other Dragoons up, which he's doing now, look at the surface area that Bjorn actually has to repair that bunker. He can only fit 2 SCVs there at the moment.
That bunker is bonkers. It's the only thing keeping him alive at this point. Now, granted, there is only 1 Dragoon, but not for long. 2 more coming up. And this is only going to go from bad to worse once this Reaver flies into the main.
Yeah, he does need to be careful though. He doesn't want to lose any of the health on those Dragoons. The first tank is finally out. He's going to be able to range down 1 of those Dragoons. But this isn't the full story. The full story is going to be the Reaver. I mean, there's a turret coming up here at the front to defend against DTs, but that's not going to stop a Reaver flying in the bottom. It's not going to stop a Reaver flying into your main. What's Bjorn going to be able to do against this?
Not much, Kicks. The survey says this is bad. I mean, my question is, what is the reaction, right? What do you do when this happens? Because I want to know. He's finally got his gas up, and he's like, okay, I can now play the game. He's going to have 2 tanks out and siege mode, and he's like, all right, sick, I'm killing it. Except that he is very far behind, and now with a Reaver in here. Now, granted, he does have siege mode, so the Reaver's going to have to be careful. It's not like he can just run everywhere. But you can kill off the depot, at least supply block him. That's going to be a little bit of a tilter. And then you can just run into the mineral line. And actually, he's going to skip the depot, go straight for the mineral line. Immediate pull on the SCVs. Gotta be careful. Picks up the Reaver. And the siege tank is actually in a good spot to protect the SCVs, unless you drop right next to it. No!
This could be a big stab.
No! Oh, is it gonna go off? Kill everything or nothing? Nope. Wow. Wow. Wow, Scarab. And he can't drop the Reaver again because it's about to die, so I guess that's kind of the perfect storm for Bjorn.
Yeah, I mean, that defense couldn't have gone better. He only lost a single SCV, killed the Dragoon for his troubles as well, didn't take any damage whatsoever, and now he has Goliaths, which means suddenly this shuttle that was infallible before doesn't have anything to really deal with. Now, as you can see though, he's going to try and go around into the natural and see if he can get a better second shot off, but the tank getting there in perfect positioning. You can tell that this man was trained by Flash for one of the tournaments they played in, because he has got the absolute perfect defense in every possible situation so far.
Here we go, next Reaver shot coming out. Oh my god, Sugo is getting so unlucky here. None of his Scarabs are hitting.
Yeah, I mean, the trouble he's had is he's shooting from the wrong angles. Now, it's not easy to do in the first instance, especially when there's a lot of pressure on you. You're in the finals of a tournament. You want everything to go perfectly. It didn't go too well in the first drop, and suddenly you can find yourself a little bit flustered, but I'm hoping that Sugo can pull it back together. He's added a third Reaver on here to get the third Reaver with the extra health. And I mean, there is still openings to do damage, and he has delayed Bill a lot, but he's not really got the kind of economy behind this that he wants. He's going to try and take his third base in a mineral only, which, while there's a lot of minerals down there, actually quite close to his Terran opponent. And has he delayed Bill enough?
I don't think so. I think Biol, I look and I see that Biol is still alive, and it's like, okay, well, he can win the game. I don't think that's unfair either, because he's just so good. My question is, why don't you just like siege the front with the Reavers? Like, you can at least get a little bit of damage done. I mean, the Scarabs still cost money, but just like keep the pressure on. Right now, Biol is playing single player. There's nobody else in his game.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing perfectly for the situation. He's not getting flustered. He's just continuing to add his factories on. He can't go for any form of third base just yet, but I don't think he's too worried. We'll likely see a push around 170 supply from him. Now, we are going to have Sugo. He's going to try and go with double shuttles, but this has actually been scouted by Bjorl with his scan. So once again, things are looking a little bit more awkward, but I do agree. Maybe pushing the bunker is just going to be better. He's going to see that there's a ton of defense in the main, but one thing about siege tanks, yes, they're strong, but they're very immobile. Drop in the natural, or at least push the natural, force the siege tanks away from the main, and then go into the main with your Reavers. So I'm not really entirely 100% sure on what Sugo is planning here.
Also, it should be noted there is still empty space to drop things like DTs in. Obviously, he doesn't have that tech, but there's still space in the back to drop that's unscouted by this depot. Like this tiny little corner up at the very top. So still got to be careful. Also, you can just zealot bomb the mineral line. That's absolutely something you can do. You can also use that strat to take out the turret, because there's only one protecting it from that angle. But I think if I were Sugo, I would probably either just try to expand or go way up the tech tree and get a jump start on things like carriers. But there's already Goliaths out, so you don't even want to go for that. Maybe just Arbiter tech would be the way to go, but I think he just wants his economy to be better.
Yeah, Sugo is in a bit of an awkward situation now because his early strat didn't really work. And Bjorl, despite being delayed a lot, his macro is kicking in now, and Terran don't realistically, in the early game, need to be over 2 base in TVP. 2 base Terran still a massive force to be reckoned with. Some of the best PvP or TVP players of all time. Flash, one of his major styles before maps like Fighting Spirit became sort of commonplace, where you've just got a free third base, was just to go for a massive 2 base push on Max, and that looks exactly what Bjorl is setting up to do. He's adding on another 2 factories once the Observer goes down, and Sugo's in the dark about this.
Yeah, he tried to fly the Observer and it got picked off, so I'm just like, well, and the crazy thing about when Flash does it is, like, he just has perfect macros, so he'll be able to build off of 2 bases when it takes 2.5 bases for somebody else to build. And so it's just, it doesn't seem fair because he gets to play safely, and then he comes out with more stuff than you have, because it's hard to play greedy against Flash, or greedily rather. And same thing against about Bjorl, because it's like mini Flash, if you want to talk about it that way, kind of on this level playing against Sugo here. We're starting to see that supply almost there. He's at 120, 170 is not too far away now that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 factories up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just gonna have non-stop production here, and I mean, Bjorl is gonna max out so ridiculously fast, and Sugo's taking a third base. But I mean, if you're Protoss, you want to be 2, 3 bases up at this point if you so heavily contain the Terran.
Yeah, the trouble is he's not really contained Bjorl. I mean, Bjorl could have broken out at any point. He was playing very, very passively just to make sure he doesn't get caught out. I mean, the big thing, if you look at the way this game is going, Sugo's army at the front isn't actually that big. He's trying to reinforce now, and obviously that's going to be huge. Now, Sugo does have this Observer. It's not been spotted just yet. The scan going down to try and find them, just to see exactly what's going on back in Sugo's base, because he needs to know the tech. He needs to know how many gateways am I against, because if he sees maybe 4 gateways, maybe Sugo is playing super greedy, then all of a sudden you just push now when you're on 130 supply, because your 7 base production, or your 7 factory production is just way too much. But Sugo's going into Templar tech here. He's not going for Arbiters. That does mean he at least has the unit production, and he will have the power behind his army. It's just, will he be able to keep up with the 2-1 upgrade, which should be coming in relatively soon for Bjorl?
Yeah, 2-1's about to finish, and as soon as that does, it's just almost impossible for a Protoss to fight toe-to-toe. You have to have some advantage that you can leverage, whether it's a million bases and tons of economy to build infinite units, whether it's an Arbiter tech or the ability to, like, run DTs in at surprising times. There's got to be something else besides just trying to fight straight up. And if you'll notice the way that Bjorl is moving, he's so methodical. He's like, all right, I'm going to build this wall, which is just basically impenetrable. It's so dense. It's almost too dense. You don't really want to have tanks this clumped up, but he's spreading it out, and he'll eventually try to take either the 12 o'clock or the base in between at the 9 o'clock, and just expand further and further out on the map, just undulate his way to a win.
Yeah, now the big problem with Sugo's decision making here is he's starting to add cannons to his other bases. Now, cannons are good when you know your opponent's going to be using vultures against you. This is when you know they've got a third base and they're kind of just turning up to max. But Bjol, he doesn't have a third base. He's going to be going for a big push, so you really do need to put every single mineral you can into your army, because this big push that's coming out now, he's got 2-1. And if Sugo tries to engage this head on, it's going to be a big problem. I mean, he does have Templar, he does have nearly enough energy for Storm on a few of them, but he really does need to deal with this, because if he can knock out this army from Bjol, he's going to get the win most likely. But this is a strong Terran force, and here it goes.
Yeah, here we go indeed, but where is the tech? He's got some storms, so they have to be perfect. Running in now, and the Zealots doing a great job tanking up the tank shots, but they can't make it past the massive vulture wall. Some storms, but they're not on the tanks. This tank line is miles deep. This tank line is dummy thick, Kicks.
Okay, you've thrown me off a bit with that one, but yeah, that's a massive army. Now, Sugo does still have well, he's going up to his 4th base now. This was maybe a little bit of a weird decision to do when you know your opponent's going to push you soon. But look at the supplies. They've gone from being relatively even to Bjol is now up by 40 supply, and it's only going to get worse. There's absolutely no tech units left. There's going to be nothing he can do against this massive vulture clump and the massive tank clump. I know you said that maybe the storm should have been on the tanks, but I honestly think storms on the zealots there, on the vultures there, would have been better, because the vultures just cleared up absolutely everything. And here we go, he's going to go in for one more try. Bjol, knowing he doesn't even need to siege, is going to break his way through. Sugo taps out, GG, and Bjol takes SouL 3-0 up.
Man, wow, what a game. And imagine how it feels to play that as Sugo. Sugo got some of the biggest breaks you can get as Protoss. Not having your proxy scouted, getting in with that early zealot, a probe killing an SCV, gas stealing, so many things going his way. And then Bjol stabilizes, and you got to think to yourself, you're like, wait a second, what do I do? He's trying to put up nexuses and build gateways and macro, and he's like, oh my goodness, I need to get an advantage somewhere. But slowly and steadily, Bjol is just working his way back into the game. He gets that 2-1 mech and just pushes across the map. What do you do against that? I mean, the 2 storms, maybe they're not perfect if you want to critique something like that, but honestly, you give him 2, 3, 4 more storms, and I don't know if he still holds on there, because the macro is just too good. The upgrades are amazing, and Bjol is just such an incredible player. So GG, wow, that puts SouL up 3-0 in the series, 1 game away from taking the round 4 finals.
Yeah, let's see how game number 4 goes when we get back after this very short break. See you guys super soon. Okay guys, we are back. It looks like I didn't put Rapid back in place, so he's there. It's all good. We're here for the round 4 playoff finals. SouL Gaming are currently 3-0 up against their opponents NaS. This is going to be an incredibly important game here for both our players. I'm actually going to introduce the guy who is going to be here for NaS, trying to keep them alive in the series. If they can't win this game, they will lose the series overall. So let's actually get started with him. I press the right buttons because it's going to be EonZerg fighting for NaS. Now, EonZerg is a monster. He's actually out in Korea at the moment. I believe this game was played just before he went, although I'm not 100% sure, just because the finals I think were played about 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember how long EonZerg's been in Korea. I nearly said China for some reason, but he's not in China, he's in Korea. But regardless, really strong Zerg player. Without a doubt, I would say the strongest Zerg player outside of Korea right now. And while he's not made he's made a lot of progress in Korea for sure, but he's not really had a chance to show it yet in foreign tournaments. But I know in Korea he won the Rust Brain Challenge, where he won 10 games above 2300 MMR in a row, and he's been playing with some really good players. I know he's been hanging around with Scan, he's played with Firebat Hero and stuff like that, so really cool to see EonZerg here. And his opponent for SouL is going to be Spire. Spire was kind of one of the first players to join SouL from Korea outside of Scan. Spire's actually one of Scan's friends, if I remember correctly even. And he's been around for a while. I think he goes under the name JT Cal as well, if you've heard of him from previous amateur tournaments and whatnot. But yeah, yes. Spire's really good. So he's 4-for-1 against Zerg. EonZerg is really good in TVZ as well. So what do you think is going to happen, Rapid, if you were to make a guess?
I would say that, if we had to highlight that key match, this would absolutely be it. I think for me, Spire represents the meat and potatoes of SouL's lineup. He's just so good. He killed DeWalt instantly, no chance. But this is a ZVZ, right? So EonZerg, I think, is very good at ZVZ. But this is before a lot of his hyperbolic time chamber training that he did out in Korea. I think for EonZerg, he is so good at this matchup because not only has he studied it very heavily, it is such a razor-thin edge that it is balanced on. So I think if NaS has a chance, it's here. And I hope that they do, so that we can see more games in this series.
Yeah, so just a correction, I got the wrong Zerg. JT Cal is Richley, but Spire is still a cool guy. He won, I think, at least a couple of the VATUs, so he's been around for a while. Looking forward to see how he does on our 4th map, which is going to be Great Barrier Reef. Okay, so here we are, Great Barrier Reef, our 3-player map of today. It's shown some incredibly fun games throughout the STPL round 4. It's been one of the, it's actually been one of the more imbalanced maps in terms of statistics, but we've not had any ZVZs here so far. One of the major things to note is there's actually a lot of airspace around the mains. There is a bit of rotational imbalance. Depending on where you spawn, your opponent's natural mineral line can be closer. You can have a safer path into the main, like at 12 o'clock for instance, if you spawn there. Mutas don't actually have to fly as far to get into your base as they do in like the 8 o'clock position or something. So we'll have to see if that comes into it. Obviously EonZerg known for playing incredibly aggressively. So looking forward to seeing exactly how this game's going to go as we get into game number 4. It's Spire versus EonZerg. Okay, starting us off here in the 12 o'clock position, we do have the purple Zerg fighting for NaS. It's Eon Zerg.
And his opponent playing for SouL in the orange as Zerg, it is Spire. This is so sick. All right, so one of the positional imbalance occurs at the 12 o'clock position, like you were talking about. So where Eon Zerg spawned, his mineral line is statistically closer to the entrance to his base than every other base's mineral line. Also, if Spire had spawned on the opposite side of the map, he would be able to run his mutas right behind the mineral line. It's very hard to get back there if you're playing a different sort of matchup. But this is ZVZ, and so the terrain only matters so much. The primary terrain difference is going to come in if you try to go for like natural defense, because then you have to consider like rush times and positions. But I think we're just going to see one base's straight rush to mutas, just as down and dirty, as razor edge as we possibly can here. So let's see what the starting builds are. I think it's going to be a 9-pool speed from Eon Zerg, and Spire's going
overpool for Spire. So he went for the Overlord, went into a spawning pool, going into gas. So both of them are going to end up in the same place. But obviously, Spire's going to get there a little bit more economically, just because he did get the extra mining time on his drone. And it may not seem like much, but in ZVZ, in all of the matchups actually, every single second counts. That's why games at the very, very, very top level can be decided by one single mistake, because it can throw everything off by like 2 seconds. Then you get someone like Flash or Bisu who just completely exploits that 2-second gap. And hopefully we're not going to see a quick game here, but it is going to be ZVZ. I do often wonder, like when I've been streaming, I mean I've been streaming this now for more than a year, and I always think to myself, like, what do I do if the games just all end in 3 minutes? Like, where do I go from here? And then I think, you know what, that's not too bad. What about if you're OGN or like even a Freaker TV now, and you have like a ZVZ best of 5, and you're like, well, how do we fill this airtime? Like, we're advertising this, and the games are going to be over super quick.
Yeah, the games have been very fast today, although maybe this is just the STPL curse kicking in. And this one might be no exception. We've got layers coming in at almost, actually, I thought they were identical times, but Spire's layer is way faster. And if you name yourself Spire, you better be good at getting to it. So we are going to see that from both players. Honestly, this would not have been a bad game for a Link Flood either, because there's no information that's going to tell Spire that that's happening.
Well,
and
there was. Unfortunately for Eon Zerg, he was trying to be careful and hide his lings, but he actually ran straight through the Overlord on the right-hand side of the map. So Spire knows exactly where all the lings are from Eon Zerg. He's going to play defensively. He knows that as long as he holds the top of his ramp, he should be fine. He's going into a Spire, as expected, by his gas there. That does allow him to defend a little bit easier against Zerglings by doing like a drone drill and everything. But Eon Zerg, wow, his layer's only just now finishing, so his Spire's coming up, but he is going to be relying on trying to break up this ramp. Can he do it?
I'm going to say the answer is maybe. No, the answer is no, Kicks. That's a no. He's got this human centipede wall of Zerglings at the top. Yeah, there's just no way you can break up this ramp.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. Obviously, Eon Zerg is going to have to change his priorities, maybe try and defend the bottom of the ramp and do kind of a weird sort of soft contain until the Spire's done. But Eon Zerg has obviously used a lot of his lava for lings, and I don't think it's really paid off, so this is going to be where things get a little bit more interesting. More lings are actually on the way for Eon Zerg. Spire also going for more lings, but somehow 3 of the lings get into the main. Is this going to be enough? Some of the lings break around the back. Can they get any of the drones? The lings at the bottom have actually been cleaned up, and Eon Zerg is going to be forced back down the ramp and away to defend, but Eon is continuing to flood lings here. Is he trying to pull Spire into a trap? He pulls back, and then he stops, and we've got +1 attack coming in for Spire on his Spire, where Eon Zerg Spire is only just now done. Well, and you just want to finish.
A little bit curious about the +1 attack. In general, you want to get the carapace for Muta versus Muta, but I think the attack helps you micro against
this is a good move by
Scourge
Eon.
a little bit more.
He's killed most of the links. He's going to get into the main. There's nothing in the main to defend. There's going to be 2 single Mutalisks. but that had 3 lings, but I mean, Mutas don't really kill lings that fast, so me is going to force Eon Zerg away for now. Oh, he's flying him into Force Scourge. This is another bait and switch, I guess.
So he's going to try to run in with Lings and maybe just get Vision to clone the Scourge with. So he's done that already. But I mean, honestly, you just run them further away. What is it, 4 Mutas out? Yeah, 4 Mutas, and only one of the Scourge connects, so it's not enough to get a kill.
Yeah, another Scourge does connect there, I believe. No, only one does. He does get a drone, though, so that's something. Spire doesn't actually have that many drones in his main, but neither does Eon Zerg, so it's going to come down to this air battle, and unfortunately for Eon, he's actually already behind him, that stinks, so this is going to be a little bit more difficult. Eon trying to hide his overlords, both of them are going to be scouted out here by Spire, and just the sheer mutant numbers, there's 5 mutas here for Spire already, whereas Eon Zerg still only has 3. So if Spire goes in, this is going to get really awkward really fast.
I love Spire scouting with the 1 Ling to get a count on the mutas. And honestly, I think Spire could just run across the map and kill him right now. But he's playing it safely. He's just killing off every overlord that he possibly can. And this is just an economy that Eon Zerg cannot deal with. He's going to have to spend 200 minerals rebuilding these things. And it's just like, what do you do? The only way he loses is if he doesn't... Oh, wow. Okay, so he immediately runs back home.
Yeah.
The only way he loses, and I think he knows this, is if his mineral line goes down. So Eon Zerg is going to pounce on the mineral line, kill a drone, but then he's going to have to run away. He would have to split his mutas perfectly. He does kill many of the drones here, but he loses all of his mutas. So, I mean, maybe you spore up back at home, and that's why he's building the Evo Chamber. But yeah, he just doesn't have time.
Oh, there is a colony done already. Maybe if he can buy enough time, this spore can finish, but this is still 9 mutalisks already, and 9 mutas don't care about a single spore. And there we go, they're going to jump in before it's finished. The spore's going to finish. It's going to go down immediately, and so is Eon Zerg. GG! Eon Zerg taps out. SouL take game number 4 and take the 4-0 victory over NaS.
Well, congratulations to SouL. We are still going to play one more final game, but they are your victors. They are the 4-0 champions around 4, the STPL dominant fashion, and I think even that last game should show you, like, even when it comes to head-to-head against your opponents, like one of the strongest players in your opponent's lineup, it ain't no thing, Kicks.
Yeah. Now, much like round 1's playoffs, it kind of feels like SouL, they just kind of had NaS's number. Now, NaS did their best. They had some close games. Like Sugo, if his opening went a little bit better, maybe he did a little bit more damage, that game would have been completely different. But let's get into game number 5. There is going to be one more game after that as well, because we are going to play out all the games, just because A, it generates more content for you guys, and also it gives me more stuff to cast, and we've not really been casting for too long as of yet. It's still been quite quick in terms of games. It seems the further we've got into the STPL, the games have kind of sped up more and more as it kind of became more polarizing, I guess, when it comes to builds. So I'm hoping that we'll have a couple of epic games to finish this off, but just quickly loading up this next game already, just because we didn't really get too much. But I'm going to quick load this, be back in just a minute, just while I get some water. So see you guys very soon. Okay guys, welcome back. We're here for the STPL Round 4 Playoff Finals. SouL have just taken the victory over NaS. We want to give NaS the chance to gain a little bit more pride. Of course, they do finish second regardless, but it's always good to see how they'll do in the full series. So let's get into game number 4. Just to quickly introduce both our players here, it's going to be Scan fighting for SouL here. Scan has been a SouL member since SouL was created, if I remember correctly. He was the first Korean to join them. Obviously, he's been in the military recently, so he's not been actively streaming, but he's been active in the STPL. He's had some great games, winning 9 out of the last 10 that he's managed to play. So overall, a really good player. Now, his opponent for NaS has been in their roster since day 1, but hasn't actually been active at all. So I think he's been actively playing, but just not in tournaments. So basically, we just need to see exactly how this is going to go for Demerity. They're going to be heading into our 5th map of today. It's going to be on Fortress SE. Okay guys, welcome back. This is Fortress SE, 4-player map. It's going to be a TVT, which is my favourite matchup. We've only seen one TVT here so far, and that actually went on quite long. So hopefully we'll get a nice long TVT to help kind of round out the evening. Obviously there is a 6th game after this as well, so there's still a lot more games to come. So let's get into game number 5. It's Scan versus Demerity. Okay, starting us off in the top position, we do have the Purple Terran fighting for SouL. It's Scan. In the bottom position, sorry.
There we go. All right, and other side of the map, that's my go-to. In the teal, this is Demerity playing for NaS.
Now, I don't know what was said at the very beginning of the game, but it ended up with Scan saying he'll play gentle, so I don't know if Scan was kind of being a little bit playful there. Maybe Demerity said he wasn't too active recently, but hopefully we'll have a good TVT here. TVT is definitely one of those matchups where whenever Scan seems to play it, we seem to get great games. Scan versus Terra in the STPL Christmas Cup was ridiculously good. Scan and Terra, that game went on for like 45 minutes or something on Whiteout. We saw a TVT between Scan and number 1 Flash from White Clan. That was back in round 3 on New Sniper Ridge. That was an amazing game as well. And also, if I remember correctly, he played one against FamSE back in round 2 on Return of the King, and that was a really cool TVT too. So, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Every time we get a chance to watch Scan, it's a great chance to learn about the fundamentals of how to play Terran and even TVT. We might not get a chance to know about that too much here, Kicks, because there is a barracks being built very close to Scan's base.
It's kind of funny where they've built them as well, because they're both on the other side of the wall to each other, so
yeah,
neither player can see what the other player is doing, but the second one of them lifts their barracks, they're gonna see everything. So let's see exactly what Demerity's plan is. I mean, he isn't going to go for a BBS because he's going for gas already. Going for proxy racks like this, unless it's an 8 racks in TVT or you're going for 2 of them, doesn't really do too much. It is possible to just use this as a scout. It's not necessarily as like an all-in either, because early game in TVT you don't really need Marines. They're kind of like, well, if my opponent goes Marines, I need Marines to make sure I don't die, but I'd rather not really build these. So we are going to see a single Marine coming out here for Demerity. Scan is also going to get his own Marine, so luckily enough for Scan he's not going to be too crazy. But one option Demerity actually has is to just proxy everything. Looks like he's not going to do it, possibly. Yeah, he's going to build this factory in his main, so it's not super all in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because it looks like it is. I think it's only all in when you build a bunch of Marines from it.
Yeah.
And he is doing that, but it's obviously not something that's going to completely change the way that Demiurge is playing the game. He's still going to get the factory back at home. He's still going to be building tanks, and the same goes for both players. Honestly, I'm not ever sure why Terrans like actually build Marines from here, unless you can like get a 2-on-1. Let's see. Oh, he does get the 2-on-1. Wow. That's pretty surprising, but there should be another Marine in production.
Scans lifted his barracks,
wow.
so...
Yeah, he lifted it. Okay, well, I mean, that's one way to kind of lose that. Now, there are more Marines coming through. This might actually work pretty well. He's got to avoid the SCVs, because honestly, the Marines, like, they matter technically, but not really. It's the SCVs that are doing most of the work.
Yeah, SCVs take a long time to die to Marines. You can see there, the 3 Marines die immediately, another Marine is on the way. But soon the Vulture is going to be done, and the Vulture puts an end to all of this. Now, both of the players are actually going into 1 fact, 1 star, so we are going to see some rates, possibly a very early dropship. Now, Demiurge is going for his machine shop. Scan is actually opting to build a second Vulture. Now, this is mainly because he knows he has to deal with the Marines, and he knows that it's a possibility there's going to be a Vulture headed his way, so Demiurge does need to be careful, because as much as he's trying to go in and do damage, he's behind in supply, he's behind in Vultures, and if you lose your early Vulture, all of a sudden things can go really south really quickly.
Oh, wow, yeah, well, I mean, it's nice to see some early pressure, but I feel like this reminds me a lot of watching Sugo play, as like where you know you're going up against a guy that's just a sick badass, so you try something cool early, and maybe it works like just a little bit, but you know, where do you go from here? It's like the bridge to Sweet Child of Mine.
Now, we did see, I'm not sure why he cancelled. Oh, I think he built an extra depot by mistake, so that's a little bit of a mistake there. There is a Wraith coming in here for Demiurge. He's actually going to be up against an Academy. There's going to be a control tower for Scan, so maybe this is another chance for Demiurge to get some extra damage if he goes for double Wraith first. But there is a tank here that's going to allow him to defend against any early Vultures of Scan. And I mean, neither player can really do too much damage, but Demiurge has definitely got a little bit of a disadvantage here moving forward.
I love this barracks. He's like floating over. This is like when Lewis and Clark, they climb a mountain, and they look over the vast expanse of land below, and they're like, all of this, it's mine soon. Obviously I'm blowing it a little bit out of proportion, but Scan, he's got a Vulture wall, it's totally tight, nothing getting through there. He might just as well go expand, but I think he's waiting for upgrades to finish.
Oh,
and
he's gonna lose his Wraith.
Is he?
Yeah, he can't micro this Wraith against that Wraith.
Wow.
And he didn't
Cloak
see
is
the fact
about
that
to
Cloak's
finish.
coming either.
Yeah, that's the bigger thing, is that, I mean, he's just going to keep pumping Wraiths with Cloak. And this is like a nice solid way to just kill anything. I don't think there's a Terran strat that really deals with like this super hard, unless you're just going for like, you know, mass bio on the ground or something.
Yeah, now here we go, the Vulture's coming in, it may, like, Cloak may not even matter. He pulled some SCVs to help repair the tank, but speed is done on these Vultures. They're going to get the main. Losing all of your units like you did before is going to cause this to happen. Now there is 2 tanks heading in to Scan's main. Maybe they can do some damage, but they're eventually going to die to these raids. So, and he's also losing a lot of SCVs back at home. 6 kills, 8 kills, 9 kills. Going to be a 10th one here as well for these Vultures. Back in Scan space, he's pulled a lot of SCVs, kills one of the tanks, has lost 4 units, but realistically he's in an amazing position. The second Cloak is done and these Wraiths go over here, there's going to be no recompense for this at all. No Academy, no Engineering Bay, protection.
Not a lot of anything. Yep, this will be death. This will be the untimely demise, the death of a human being at our hands. Scan's about to like Thanos snap his fingers and make half as many players in this game.
Well, let's hope he doesn't accidentally snap himself, because That was one of the weird things with Infinity War that didn't make any sense. What if he snapped and destroyed himself? Either way, that doesn't matter. We don't talk about Avengers just in case someone starts spoiling Endgame in chat, even though I just saw it.
No. The directors said it's okay to spoil it now. They said that enough time had passed, so it's okay to talk about it.
Okay, well, regardless, looks like the snap has been done. GG to Murray with no recompense for that at all. Gets taken down by Scan, giving SouL the 5-0 lead.
Oh, wow. Jeez. I don't think anything else would have been expected aside from just like total bonkers strategies. Scan wins, and I think that really kind of confirms what we all thought going into that he is a badass. Props to Demurity for trying something a little bit cool with that proxy racks positioning, but in the end, Scan is just too good.
Yeah, so we're going to get into game number 6, the final game of this playoff finals. Sadly, this reminds me a little bit too much of round 1, where it was a little bit of a whitewash. I mean, the games have been a little bit closer than White versus IRK were, but definitely SouL showing their pedigree here. So let's get into the final game. It's going to be a PvP between Dandy and Kingdom, and it'll be coming up in just a second. Okay guys, we are back. We're here for the final game between NaS and SouL in the STPL Round 4 finals. It looks like we're going to have a at least a 5-0, well, we have got a 5-0 victory. Can SouL make it the perfect sweep, or is Dandy going to be able to stand up against his opponent in this final game? I'm hoping he can, just so NaS can get a little bit of it was Kingdom, I mean. I'm hoping Kingdom can get a win here, just so we have a little bit more pride back in the NaS roster. Obviously, this is a very important, well, it's not a super important game as such in the grand scheme of things, but for the team, it's a really important game to not be demoralized by. So let's quickly go through both our players. Talking about Dandy's stats, not going to be super important here, just because he is going to be off racing. He replaced someone else for SouL. So looking here, Dandy, he plays PvT. He's not actually played any PvP here, so those stats don't really matter too much. For his opponent, going to be Kingdom. Kingdom has got kind of an interesting history. He started off in round 1 and round 2 as NaS. Then he split off in round 2 after an internal argument, I believe. He started a team called Broodball Life that joined us in round 3. And then at the end of round 3, they disappeared and the Kingdom went back to NaS. So Kingdom back on NaS here, back with the team where he started. I guess finishing how he aimed to begin as well. So PvP wise, he's 2 wins, 3 losses, not really too much to say there. He's not played that many games. So let's have a look at our 6th and final map. It's going to be Neo Chain Reaction. Okay, so here we are on Neo Chain Reaction, well, our second 2-player map for today. We've only had 2 PvPs here. Obviously it's PvP, so map balance doesn't really come into it. But this is a very good map for drops. There's lots of droppable cliffs as well, so you can drop Templar everywhere in PvP the later the game goes on. And if Dandy's PvT is anything to go by, his Protoss isn't that bad, so looking forward to this one. We've had a lot of very quick games in this final, so hopefully we'll end on a more of a longer note, because longer games are always more fun. So let's get into game number 6. It's Dandy versus Kingdom. Okay, on the right hand side of your screen, we do have the red Protoss fighting for SouL, looking to make a clean sweep for SouL in the finals. It's Dandy.
That's right, and his opponent on the opposite side of the map, like you said, looking to secure, or to at least take 1 game for his team. This is Kingdom, our brown Protoss player. So, I mean, this is the map that has a lot of cool, crazy things that you can do on it, with 3 different kinds of destructible buildings out there. Yep. Surely killing one of them must result in the win, right?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult regardless. I mean, the one benefit that Kingdom has here is Dandy is playing his off race, so... Well, I don't know if you can call Protoss Dandy's off race, given the fact he mains PvT. I don't really know how that works, but I guess if he wants to practice PvT on ladder, he's going to have to play Protoss versus Protoss as well, so I'm not really too sure how many PvPs Dandy's played. But if most Terrans are to be believed, Protoss is the easy race, so surely PvP is just going to be super simple. It's not going to be difficult at all, and he should get a really easy win here. Let's see if that theory holds up.
Well, I think currently the theory that I have is that SouL's a pretty good team, and they're just going to kill everybody. So, barring that being true, I just want to see what Kingdom might have in store as a way to win this. PvP, we talked about ZVZ being a little bit, balanced on a knife's edge, but PvP feels like as soon as you fight with 1 less unit, you just lose the game. At least Zerglings are so mobile that you can see the opponent's Zergling count, or you have overlords, right? You can see what strategy they're going for, and so you can just act accordingly. And so there's a lot of safety in that. And you don't think of ZVZ as being a safe matchup, but when you come to PvP, it's like you have none of that. Your units are slow and clunky, so they can't actually just run away a lot of times. You don't have scouting information at all forever until you get something else outside of a probe. So, we've got probe scouting for now, but after these things die, it's a big, dark, scary wasteland out there. So I don't know. Anything could happen, truly, and there are super hard counters like DTs versus 3-gate. So, anything truly can happen.
Yeah, I mean, PvP, we've had a lot of discussions about this over the last nearly year and a half, but realistically, PvP is all about the build orders. Now, Dandy Oh my god, he's actually trapped 5 probes. Now, Kingdom is going to do the right move. He's going to... Sorry, Kingdom trapped the probes even. I'm getting the colors mixed up. Kingdom does manage to get out some of the probes from that block, so he's only lost 1 from mining. But that's just a pain for Dandy to have to deal with. And it's one of the things that if you don't deal with PvP all the time, you may not see. But luckily for Dandy, he's a Terran player, not a Zerg player. Because whereas Zerg are protected from this, Terran have to deal with this all the time. And I would say like maybe in 2015, maybe sooner, like 70% of my PvPs had this in. And I mean, Dandy's cleared it up, he didn't lose too much mining time. But it does give Kingdom a little bit of an edge.
Well, he actually still hasn't sent those trapped probes back to mining, just now doing it. Ugh. Definitely feels a little bit rough, especially when you're going up against a 2-gate, and that means that it's going to be, I mean, there's 2 gates on both sides, right? Because this is kind of a standard, you know, opener. But the idea is that if you have 1 less unit, you might as well have no units because you still lose that fight. So I hope that we are going to see, you know, at least a little bit of aggression or something like that. There is high ground to protect you against having somebody just walk up the natural, but you know, it's still not a great experience to have, you know, having your probes trapped like that. Let's see what the tech difference is. It looks like it'll at least be Robo from Dandy on the other side. Still don't know.
Yeah, it looks like Kingdom's holding off a little bit. Now, hopefully, we're not going to see a repeat of the game yesterday where someone hid their tech for so long they kind of just couldn't use it because they died to DTs. So, it looks like Kingdom actually might be looking to expand. This isn't necessarily a bad decision. He knows pretty much exactly what Dandy's doing. He got the full scout off with the probe that he hid behind the mineral lines in the main. So, and this is decent. Looks like they're actually both going to go into a Nexus behind this at pretty much exactly the same time.
Yeah,
exactly
this is really surprising.
The same time. They have the same health. That's insane.
So my question is, what did Kingdom do that Dandy didn't? Because Dandy just squeaked in this Robo, just like for free.
Well, Kingdom's got a lot of money, so Kingdom's going to build the Robo now. I guess the main thing is, like, when you know your opponent's going for a Robo and you don't think they're going for a Reaver, getting the Observatory that quickly isn't super important, so maybe trying to save up for the Nexus would be better. I guess Kingdom did spend, I believe, pylons are 75 minerals if I remember correctly. I always get this wrong and I feel like an idiot, but that was something that Kingdom built that died in the main that Dandy didn't, so I guess he did have 75 extra minerals. That's what it could be. I guess that's all it can be.
Yeah. So this is going to shape up to be a remarkably even, longer game, and I really like games like this because you can really get a chance to see, you know, what both players are kind of made of. Neither player is actually trying anything like super crazy, which is kind of surprising to me because these are dirty Protoss players' kicks. I'm just memeing a little bit, but I always do expect some level of shenaniganry. Because anytime you go for just macro versus macro, you better be pretty confident, because at any point during the course of this game, you have the opportunity to change it. And if you don't choose to do that, you have only yourself to blame if you lose. And in truth, I guess that's always the case. But
yeah,
you know, sometimes you can try a strategy and it just doesn't work out. And you're like, okay, well, at least I tried. But if you just try playing straight up standard and it doesn't work, it's like, well, what did you expect?
Yeah, it's always quite awkward. Now, Dandy is actually going straight into Citadel, so he's going to be able to go into a very quick Templar Archives. Not going to go for Reaver or anything like that. Looks like on the other side we are going to have a Reaver, so it's going to be Robo Bay versus Templar Archives here. And that does make it kind of interesting, because usually you don't kind of see it go this polarizing. We'll usually see either both players go for Reaver or both players go for Templar. And Templar obviously are very, very strong in army fights, but so are Reavers, so I'm kind of interested to see exactly how this is going to play out the longer the game goes on, because Storm Drops... Okay, it's a weird way of putting this, but Storm Drops are more efficient, but then they don't happen as often because you have to wait for the energy, whereas Reavers have a chance of dudding, but they can constantly go back and forth, so I don't really understand how this is going to work out for both our players.
I mean, You ever play BGH, right, Kicks? You got your 1 mineral patch, but it's 1,000,000 stacks, and you have like 1,000,000 probes. The game is
That's
entirely who
fastest.
can. Oh, fastest maps. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the game is entirely revolved around storm dropping. So you just try to get a unit to your opponent's side of the map and just storm drop as fast as you can, or lurker drops or tank drops or whatever it is. Because all that matters is that moment, right? So in theory, you go for storm drops, and it's just if you kill the entire mineral line, it's like, okay, well, they're just not making any more money. So maybe that's the way. And I have seen a lot of really cool PvPs where storms on armies actually do really turn the tide and can get you back into the game when it is such an unforgiving matchup. So I really do like Storm here. I do feel like Reavers are a little bit more versatile, just because they kind of make storms for 15 minerals,
Yeah. And as I said, they're more consistent because you don't have to wait for the energy, but eventually Kingdom is likely going to go into a Templar Archives himself. I mean, we see a Reaver, it's only being used defensively at the moment, so he's not going to go and push with it. We're not going to see another Observer coming out for either player either, so the Observers in the main are probably going to be there for a long, long time. There is a cannon in Dandy's main, which has pushed the Observer back from Kingdom. He actually sent the Observer over to the possible third base. I mean, are we really going to get to a third base in a PvP today, Rapid? Is that what's happening?
I dare they. There's a rule in PvP. You have to kill your opponent before 3 bases. What do you even do with the third base's Protoss in a PvP? What, build more units? You can do that with 2 bases.
Yeah.
I love that, by the way, that Dandy's going for double forges here. He only has one of them. Okay, he just started armor on the second. But this is absolutely what you should do. You're playing the long game, double forge it up.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get the extra upgrades. While in like PvT and PvZ, they're not, I mean, they're important, especially in PvZ, but I'd say in PvP they're definitely more important than ever because you have exactly the same units. Both of your melee and range is the same upgrade, so you may as well get the attack upgrade. But if you can get those armor upgrades as well, your units suddenly become a lot more durable. So Dandy going for that strat obviously knows that not really too much is going on. Kingdom not playing too aggressively. We should have that Reaver coming out soon in a SouL, which I still haven't seen, so I mean, surely there's going to be some form of harassment at some point. Oh, Observer goes down.
You say that, what are we gonna harass each other's observers? Like, I don't know, Kicks. This is like the most passive PvP I have ever seen. Get your resident sleepers out, you're gonna need them.
Well, I guess, I know it's passive, I know it's a little bit less exciting. We had a bit of excitement early on, but one thing is, we got past the 6-minute mark, and for the playoffs, that's always good. Now, Kingdom is unfortunately falling foul to the Warp Gate and the Temple, because those probes, they're just running around, they don't know where they're going. And they're not able to get to the third base right now, so Dandy actually transferred the right way. He transferred out into the middle of the map and then upwards. He really does need to make sure he can deal with that soon. Otherwise that's going to be a lot of lost mining. And here we go, looks like he has noticed he's going to send them manually.
Can't the Protoss units just go through the portal?
Yeah, that would be a really
like it's
interesting
a warp gate
map mechanic, because it would put him out at his opponent's natural. Could you imagine being able to like Reaver harass through it? You like jump in the warp gate, jump out, fire a scarab and jump back in. It's like shuttles but on acid.
Well, so in StarCraft 2, which is theoretically in the future, Protoss literally have technology called warp gate tech. So maybe this is like a trial run of the version and it doesn't work yet. But they figure it out in the future, guys. We know how the story ends.
It's kind of like in Star Trek where people like using the teleporter but the Doctor doesn't, because he doesn't like what the teleporter does to you, whereas then later on in the series just everybody uses it because no one's scared about it anymore. I can imagine all these Protoss are like, they're kind of like the James, I think it's James McAvoy, Bones from the original series, kind of like, I don't want to use this warp gate, it seems dangerous, I'm not risking it.
Well, the Doctor in Deep Space Nine is a hologram, so...
Oh yeah,
actually no, it's Voyager, right?
Yeah, Voyager.
I forget which one has the holodoc. Yeah, that one. So, he doesn't really have to use the teleporter. Also, he doesn't really exist. Until that one episode where he turns into a human. for a day, and then we learn about his humanity. But then he turns back into a hologram, so who cares?
But he also has sentience, so I mean, if you've got
Well,
sentience, does that mean you're alive? Wow, this is
no.
there's a lot to
I mean,
unpack in
Q
this
has
conversation.
sentience too, but he's definitely not alive. Or is he too alive? I can't decide. Anyway, back to the star show that does matter.
Well, that's harsh. I mean, we can talk about Star Trek all day, but we really should start talking about StarCraft again.
I wish I could get knighted for StarCraft like Sir Patrick Stewart got knighted for Star Trek.
To be honest, like, I would give Patrick Stewart all the honors, every single one. Just give them to him. I don't care.
Yeah, he's got really bad macro though.
Yeah, well, I say we just give him the OSL win anyway. It's fine. Flash won't mind if we take all his trophies away and just give them to Patrick Stewart. I'm sure it'll be fine.
This is what happens when you put people from the UK in charge of whether or not people are bonjois.
Well,
It's like Flash, yeah, bonjois. I Love Uve, yeah, he's a bonjois. Patrick Stewart can't play the game, probably bonjois, right?
yeah.
Okay, back to the matter at hand.
Storm drop.
Still absolutely nothing is happening except for the storm drop. Sickest storm drop. Let's see, 5 kills on one, 4 on the other. Another storm happens. More kills come down. Totally worth.
Yeah, and both players are actually going into 4 now, into 4 bases. Now, I know there's many Terran players who are probably sitting there thinking, Protoss players can count to 4? Is this a thing that can happen? But there we go, 4 bases for both players. But unfortunately, Kingdom losing a lot of his probes. I mean, we did see another unit try and come in, unless it was a scouting pylon. I mean, Kingdom's got a lot of cannons over here, and you can really see where Kingdom's spending more money on just defense and units, because he's not got a bank, whereas Dandy has. And that could come into it. I mean, Dandy looks like he's going to push through. I know he's actually going to pull back, so he still doesn't want to push in. Looks like we are going to have the probes transferring up to the top left. There's still no shuttle for harassment here for Kingdom, but I really... Oh, here we go. We've actually got a big engagement in the middle of the map. Storms on both sides.
Oh my god. How do we tell the difference between storms? What is one a red storm and the other a brown storm? I don't know, Kick. How do you tell the difference between Archon? They're just blue, Kicks.
Well, they do have those little things, but it's hard to tell. But good storms by Kingdom there, softening a lot of the army, but Kingdom actually lost a lot of storms to Storm. Just because his Templars were getting stormed, which this is just getting even more confusing to say as the game goes on, but the Reaver, throughout all of that engagement, somehow stays alive. It's been waddling around with the army the entire time, and both players completely even on supply until Kingdom just got a macro around him.
I want these games of Star Craft. Man, sorry, our earlier conversation really threw me off there. Anyway, I want these games where you spend like no rush 15, build up giant armies, and then just go kill each other. But you both have exactly the same armies, and you get exactly the same result, and then you just go do it again. And again, we're locked in this endless struggle.
It's just an endless PvP. Like, we're gonna have all of the minerals mined out. They'll have exactly the same amount in the bank, both maxed, both with the same number of storms. And I mean, if you're going to decide who's better in a mirror matchup, why not mirror absolutely everything, including the supply, just to make it that more fair? You can't complain about balance when everything is perfectly balanced.
Well, you sure can't. And thankfully, we have a game like Brood War that is. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is this might be the tipping point. The lack of balance, as it were. If you try to fight a base but then get pincered against it, obviously that is somewhat suboptimal. The High Templar are actually lagging behind Kingdom's army, so he doesn't have all of them with it. He does still have a bunch of storms, and storms on Dragoons are about as good as they are on Hydras, big clumped up units, lots of blue goo. And Kingdom's is actually crushing this fight. Reaver coming in along with more storms from behind, and I think he is just going to take this.
Yeah, that was 6 Templar against 1. And the difference there was just incredible. Now, we don't have the Templar energy upgrade for Kingdom. I don't think we've got it for Dandy either. That could have been a big turning point in the fight. Just imagine if there was another 4 storms there, but either way, the Dragoons have they've broken into the third base. They're doing a lot of damage here, but Kingdom doesn't have a bank behind this. Dandy still does have a little bit of money. Now the Reaver finally goes down. At least it sounded like a Reaver dying. But more storms coming in for Dandy. Gonna clean up more of these Dragoons.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I mean the Dragoons are getting cleaned up, but see if these High Templar are actually, yeah, they do have storms, so I mean this could just be kind of what tips the balance here. More units being rallied in, but it's a slow trickle here, and I think maybe eventually Kingdom gets cleaned up. But look at this, he's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases. He's actually taking the base right behind Dandy's natural, or main.
Not often you see the map split like this. Usually you take the top left, but Dandy is eventually going to be able to clean this up. And, I mean, it's going to be the mining. Like, he has to rebuild all of his probes, he has to rebuild the Nexus, and he has to do damage. Otherwise, he is going to eventually lose this game, but really, really well engaged by Kingdom. He got the maximum possible efficiency. And if you think about it, it's 3-2 upgrades for Dandy, 2-1 for Kingdom, and Dandy still lost the fight. That is the power of Storm.
Power of Protoss. What a difference. I usually, as soon as you click on your opponent's army and realize that he has like way superior upgrades, it's just a good time to turn around, you know? But now, not only are we going to have 3-3 finishing up for Dandy, but he's also getting shield upgrade for like a ton of Archons.
Well, this phase
and it should be noted.
Go down, I think. There's a lot of Zealots sitting there.
Yeah, his army is totally out of position to defend this, and that's you know, one of the reasons why you don't go for this base, because unless you're just going to build infinity cannons, how are you going to get over there to defend?
Well, it's the same problem in the other base, to be fair. Like, when you look, it's really, really close to your opponent's 4th base, and it's very, very far away from your natural rally point as well. So we are going to see those, at least the Nexus go down. The probes actually do manage to kind of run away for the time being. But they're all going to try and mine their way through. But that's obviously just going to open the way for Dandy Zealots to run through eventually. So it's going to come down to another big fight, I think, Rapid.
I hope so, Kicks. These things are thick. And I don't know if killing that base really equalized things. I still think Dandy is, you know, pretty far behind at this point. But let's see if miracles can happen when you believe, Kicks.
Yeah, now, Kingdom obviously with more bases, actually I think has more probes overall, so that's where the supply lead's coming from. And you can see that Dandy, even though this is going to take forever for this one Zealot to break through the temple, he is going to break through and try and make his way over to that other base. But we've got Kingdom trying to move in. Let's actually check the Templar count for both players. Only 3 here for Kingdom, whereas we do have 7 for Dandy. And there's actually 5 or 6 Archons, 7 Archons now coming in. So he is going to have a lot of Storm, he's going to have a lot of Archons. But, I mean, looking at Kingdom's army, yeah, he's got a good number of Archons himself, but he's down in upgrades still. Dandy's actually up at 3-3. He's not going for any shield upgrades, but he's up against 3-2, so this Storm and these Archons are going to be incredibly important. Here we go, looks like we are going to have the first Storm coming in. Not hitting too many units, okay, Kingdom actually running his units back through it. But this fight is going to be closer than maybe we would think.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree. I think it all does come down to Storm, and of course the ability to control a huge giant Protoss army at 200-200 with you know, just hotkeys. I mean, that's another big thing. Controlling big armies for just any race are just very, very difficult. So definitely something to keep in mind here. Just to keep an eye on the minerals. Still, most of these bases going strong for our players, but especially because of that storm drop. You know, Kingdom's base is going to maybe take a little bit longer to mine out. Not that that's a benefit, you know, but it is still very, very difficult to kind of keep all these things juggled at the same time. I don't know. This is like super impressive to me that both players are like doing so much all at the same time, and that's the beauty of StarCraft.
Yeah, and this is where we kind of see the results of that previous fight come in with the minerals. Dandy was the one with the bank before, and suddenly Kingdom is just completely dwarfing him with the amount of money he has. But eventually we're going to have to see both players engage again, and it's all going to come down to the energy usage. Now we are going to have a Templar on Templar fight, both kind of psyching each other out. Good storms by Dandy. Dandy does have the storm upgrade, sorry, the energy upgrade, whereas Kingdom doesn't. So Dandy does actually have more value. Oh my god, that's a huge storm. They're going to take out one of the Templar, which had full energy.
Ooh. Look at these storms across the bridge. You know, usually bridges are a terrible place to fight against the Protoss opponent that has storm. But it looks pretty good to me here, Kix. Kind of remarkable that those storms were so good.
Yeah, they're both equal in supply again, though, so I think Kingdom actually got a better job of that fight. He is still below in units, but I mean, Dandy does still have a few Templar with more storm. Oh, that energy, well, I don't know if he had energy, but that Templar going down on the front. Dandy pushing over the bridge. He knows there's not much splash damage here, and he's going to see if he can break through. It's Archon on Archon, Dragoon on Dragoon. And Zealots are getting through to the back as well. I think Dandy's actually managed to push through here.
Dandy had a 20 supply disadvantage before he tried to fight across that bridge, and now he has a 10 supply, 20 supply lead. I don't know how he does it. Dandy's the god. What a legend. Able to completely push through all that. Oh no, there's an AFK High Templar. He's got full energy for Storm. Can he select it and turn around his Storm? No! Another High Templar picked off without storming.
Oh god, and another one's going down to the Archons as well. Things are not going well for Kingdom here. Good storms by Dandy. As the units of Kingdom try to retreat, there's very little Kingdom has back to defend. He's trying to take a 5th base again. But a 5th base is not going to help you against this army. But things aren't over yet. Kingdom still has a little bit of a bank. He's still producing off of all of his gateways. His bases are really healthy still. And Dandy is starting to mine out of his 3rd base. His natural's gone. I mean, Kingdom even has a few minerals in his natural if he wants to mine them. So even though Dandy has got a better edge in the last few engagements, he has so much storm available on all of his High Templar. If Kingdom remaxes properly, there's still time for him. Now, Kingdom unfortunately has chosen to add a lot of cannons over this 5th base, and they're just gonna die, so that's a lot of wasted minerals here for Kingdom.
This game is so epic, Kix. If you guys want to, oh my goodness, okay, he's gonna, I thought he was actually gonna get a lot more with these Zealots. There's 3/3 Zealots will kill this Nexus basically immediately. So yeah, there it goes. Wow. Also, I'm trying to keep an eye on the colors of the capes for this Dark Templar down here too, because it just looks like every unit is every other unit. But basically, suffice it to say, this game is epic. That base keeps getting killed over and over again. I think we are really,
once again.
We are really going to start to see Templar and their Archons decide how this game is going to go. I think Dandy has a little bit too much momentum here, but we'll see. Anything can change with this engagement.
Yeah, now let's actually have a look. I'm going to hide all of the overlay just because this is a pretty epic fight. Here we go, the Zealots getting on top of the Dragoons. The Storm going over absolutely everything. Counter Storms coming in. But just the sheer number of storms, an absolute whitewash of an engagement here by Dandy, completely decimating Kingdom's forces. And even then, he's only got a 30 supply lead, so Kingdom has the high ground. Dandy not willing to throw his units away, gonna stand back a bit, because he has 9 High Templar. That is so hard to use. Like, spellcasters in Brood War, if you maybe only watch StarCraft 2, you don't have smart casts, so if you want to cast Storm, you have to select each Templar individually. Now, Dandy is going to be the one trying to take an extra base in the top left. He was trying to build 6 cannons. They all get cancelled, and the 5th base is going to go down, but all those Zealots are units not with the army, and you can see Dandy pushing forward at the front.
Here comes Dandy. He does have all those storms, like you said, Kix. They're just building up and building up energy, and they're just continuing to be more and more cost effective. At this point, Kingdom is so far, well, I don't want to say behind, because he does still have all of his infrastructure, but he's losing bases right and left, and I don't think anything can stop the momentum that Dandy has behind him. He pushes into this natural expansion.
Well, the trouble is, as the storms start to peter out, Dandy's army isn't actually that strong. I mean, he does have the upgrades. Well, he's on 2 shield now, so he is with an upgrade advantage. We never saw 3 armor come in for Kingdom either. But you can see the problem that Kingdom has. He's basically walking in to a wall of lightning. Just every time he tries to leave, every time he goes into a choke, he gets hit by lightning. And it looks like finally the energy has dried up here for Dandy. Wow, there's still actually 2 High Templar at the back with a lot of Storm energy, so I mean, Kingdom's trying to hold on, he's trying to clear up with the units he's getting, but he's not getting too far.
That Mr. Meezy strategy from Dandy. He's trying, but I don't know if he's going to be able to like drop a killing blow here. He's got this SouL train of units running across the map right now, but I mean, this is kind of the rubber band effect. Is eventually home field advantage from all these massive gateways should kick in for Kingdom. If he just pulls back, builds up, and then comes back out, I think maybe he can hold on for a little bit longer, but I think at the same time, Dandy is in just such a dominant spot.
Yeah, now the issue Kingdom has now is his third is actually going to mine out now. Dandy is a little bit more healthy in his bases. I mean, Dandy's trying to take an extra mining base, so that'll put him up to 3. He's going to take the base that Kingdom tried to take a good number of times. But you are right about one thing. It's going to be very difficult for Dandy to actually break down this ramp. But such is the sort of the inverse of that. How is Kingdom ever going to get back out of his base now? He's kind of stuck here. So he's going to try and go for it. He wants to see if he can break up, but you can just see the number of Templar that Dandy has again. This man is the King of Storm. He's the God of Thunder.
He is actually literally Thor here. We are watching him just have basically endless energy, and that's going to do it. GG. Kingdom taps out, and Dandy completes the full sweep 6-0 for SouL over NaS.
Yeah, so that's obviously going to bring a somber end to the finals for NaS. Unfortunately, they couldn't take a game off of SouL, but they had a good number of opportunities. So many of their games were super close, but unfortunately, the scoreboard at the end, 6-0 in favor of SouL. That's going to give them their second win overall in the STPL in terms of rounds. That means White Clan won 2 rounds, and SouL won the other 2. That's going to give them... I need to work out the qualification points, but SouL and White are definitely through to the grand finals. Just quickly going to bring up the results. I'll figure out who is qualifying, and I'll announce it via the STPL TV Twitter, which you can follow at the below link. There's also links to the YouTube, link to the Maturino page, link to the STPL Patreon as well, if you want to support monetarily. But let's actually have a look at the results screen, and we can go through exactly how it went, and we'll just show off who was playing, just in case you don't miss any of the games. So, having a look here, starting us off, we had Tai2 taking down Terra in a very, very quick ZVT. Terra, unfortunately, his 8 ranks failed and he tapped out immediately. We saw Zealot take down Dragon with some really, really incredible drop play in that game. Biol took down Sugo. That was pretty cool. Sugo had chances, but unfortunately couldn't capitalize. Spire took down Eon Zerg. That was a really wacky ZVZ. We then saw Scan take down Demurity. And then moving into the 6th game, which we just saw, we saw Dandy take down Kingdom to roll out the series.
Well, what a way to things. I think, you know, it would have been cool if it had been really close and back and forth, but it's also just as cool to see SouL just come out here and just absolutely Hulk smash NaS, because coming up, well, theoretically next in the future, we are going to have the grandest of the grand ultra super mega finals for all of the rounds, culminating in one epic battle. And much like Game of Thrones and Avengers all kind of had their own culmination into the epic battles of their respective universes, for the STPL universe, we're going to have one of our own. And so help me kicks, if it's as bad as the one in Game of Thrones, I'm never going to cast STPL again. But something tells me it'll be even better.
Well, the crazy thing is I'm basically making some stuff for the grand finals to like kind of show some more video content and whatever. But when I was thinking back at just how the STPL started and how far we've come, it's pretty insane. So I'm not going to go too much into it now. I'm going to have like a big long speech at the end. I'm going to pre-record it all because I'll forget everything if I try and do it live, but it's going to be cool. You want to miss it, make sure you keep an eye out for the announcements of when the next games are coming up. The qualified players, there's going to be, okay, I need to figure out the points. If there's enough teams that are basically tied, we're going to go into a round of 8. but if there's enough difference in the points to be more fair, I'll put it into a round of 4. The round of 4 is going to be a best of 3, best of 5. So it means both teams will play each other in a best of 3 of best of 5 sets. So basically, to explain it, if you look at a normal STPL game, it would be a best of 5. A team will need to win 2 of those against their opponent to make it into the grand finals, and the grand finals will be a best of 7, just a single one, just to sort of round out the entire tournament. So I'm looking forward to bringing you guys the tournament finals finally. It's been over 8, thinking about it, it started in, I'm not going to do maths, but basically the STPL started in March last year, so it's been 14 months of STPL. There's been a few breaks here and there, there's been a few random other things happening as well, so I guess all I can say is thank you once again, Rapid, for joining me, and I hope everyone watching enjoyed it, and we'll be back next time for some more STPL action, which will be announced on the STPL TV Twitter and Team Liquid, so don't miss out.